What's up, everyone? All right, so a newer piece of gear that we have here in the studio is our Rode Go Wireless 2 system, which is really great. Really nice system, really well thought out and put together. The Rode Go Wireless original, the single version, has been out for a few years now and has been very popular, and obviously there's a lot of reviews out there on that particular system. We just wanted to take a moment here to talk about the new Rode Wireless Go 2 system that we've been using over the last couple of videos here in the studio. Fortunately, Mr. Nicky can't be with me tonight, so I'm going to go about this solo. So we chose to go with the Rode Go Wireless 2 system because normally there are two of us here in the studio doing our reviews. So it only makes sense that we have a two transmitter, one receiver system going into the DSLR that we have here in the studio. Makes life 10 times easier to not have to have two different sources capturing audio, i.e. having two singular Rode Go Wireless 1s. Now we can just have the Rode Go Wireless 2, and it does the same thing going into one single source. Makes it obviously a lot easier for editing, and it saves a lot of time. Previous to us getting the Rode Go Wireless 2, we had the Rode, I want to say that it is the Rode Video Micro. It's a smaller shotgun condenser on top. Things that we had considered was the Rode Video Pro, the Pro model of the shotgun microphone. And we'd also actually used before that just simply an SM7B that was on a boom stand right here above the, right outside of the frame of the picture, and the SM7B worked just fine as well. We had success with all of them. But we liked the idea of keeping the clutter and keeping the studio clean, and just simply being able to put on a lavalier and having the transmitter just set down here, clipped to our pants or our waistline or whatever. So it was just to cut down on clutter and to make the studio nicer. Now, when we first got the units, I was a little let down. And I know Nick was a little bit let down as well, because these things record really, really hot. If you have used the Rode Go Wireless 1, or if you have the Rode Go Wireless 2, you probably know that they record really, really hot. It's a weird, kind of unique system because the receiver lets you choose your output going into your camera, and you could turn that output down. But if you're looking at the actual gain display of the system, it's very, very hot. And it shows that it's clipping. And even though you have it set up going into your camera as, let's say, like a -12 dB signal, which is, more or less right around what a lot of people strive for when recording, and that's optimal for going into a system. So your camera would show that, but the receiver itself would show that the Omni mic here, it was actually clipping. And you could hear a lot of those little digital artifacts in the recording. And it was starting to get a little frustrating because I wasn't getting the audio that I was hoping that we could get out of this system. It didn't seem to perform as well as I had seen videos of it perform, and it was getting a little frustrating. However, I did look into it further, and I did find, now if you're out there and you know all about this system, then save yourself the time, and you don't have to watch this any further. I do apologize. But if you're like me and you didn't know about this, then stick around. Rode offers something called the Rode Central, and it is an application that you could download right onto your computer. And with that, Rode, in part of the packaging that they include with your system, you have this bigger packaging, or sorry, this bigger carrying case that houses the receiver, and it comes with a various selection of cables. It has USB to USB-C, USB-C to USB-C, and it has USB-A to USB-C for charging. And it gives you two of those for the transceivers, then it gives you one for the receiver. as well as these nice little windscreens. So with that, you take your cable that Rode generously provided to you, plug it into your computer after you download this app, and within the computer program, you can go in and set the receiver to a fine gain selection. So instead of going by negative 12 dB steps, or 12 dB steps rather, you could put it into 3 dB steps, which is really, really nice. So you can go from negative 30 all the way up to 0 in 3 dB increments, which is really nice because you can fine tune the dB that is going into your actual camera. So what we ended up doing, following some of the recommendations of some of the users out there, was we lowered the input gain of the Canon as low as we could go. That way we were essentially bypassing the preamp that is built inside of the Canon, because most of the cameras out there don't have the best preamps built in for their microphones. Obviously, let's face it, they're built to capture picture, not to capture sound, right? It makes sense. So we lowered the dB all the way down within the Canon, as low as we can go. And then from there, we were able to put it into fine selection mode and dial in the exact dB, the exact amount of output gain that we wanted to go into the camera from the receiver. And that essentially bypasses the preamp of the Canon, and it allows the preamp of the Rode to do all the job. So I think we settled on, I want to say negative 15 dB was about where we put it, and that gave us an overall level of about negative 12, maybe negative 10 at its highest peak going into the Canon. So that was a nice little feature that we found this week on how to fine tune the Rode Go Wireless 2 system. The next thing was this little problem I talked about before of this Omni microphone right here, seeming as if it was always clipping. And it was almost like it was compressed. If you've worked with any type of analog audio before, it felt like it was very, very compressed. Even though it was set to an uncompressed file in the way that it was recording, the microphone itself seemed like it was very compressed, in that you could put it right here, very close to your mouth, or even up to your mouth, and then you could move it 2 feet away, and it was not changing the actual gain on the receiver. It was such a micro difference, minute difference of what it was changing on the receiver. And that felt like a big problem. You know, it was very frustrating that you could put it right up here to your mouth and you were still all the way in the yellow, sometimes hitting a little bit of red, and then you could pull it all the way away, 2 feet away, and you were still in the yellow. It's sometimes going into the red, and it's just frustrating. You want to bang your head against the wall. Like, what do I do to this thing to get the input gain down a little bit? I don't want to clip this thing. Well, in the Rode Central software, you can hook up your transceivers. Now, if you have the Rode Go Wireless 2 system, you have to hook up the transceivers individually. So it takes a little bit of time because you got to plug one in, do your settings, unplug it, put the other one in, do your settings, unplug it, then put your receiver in, do its settings. So you have to do them all individually, but it's well worth it at the end of the day. With the Wave Central, they offer finally a negative 6 dB pad for the actual input gain. Now, I will say, even with the negative 6 dB pad, like right now, even me talking to you, my input level that it's showing me on my receiver is still in the yellow. Now, unfortunately, it doesn't give you an actual dB readout, but I would guess, just working with DAWs and working with most audio, I would guess that it's probably still around negative 9, negative 6 dB, somewhere right in there on average, and peaking at about negative 3 dB, which is very, very hot for a microphone input signal. So hopefully, one day Rode will give you the fine setting that they allow you on your output by the 3 dB selection from 0 to negative 30. Hopefully they'll do that for the input gain too, because I would like to be able to see, at the very least, a negative 10 dB pad, which is, let's face it, that's the most common thing on any microphone out there. They almost all offer a negative 10 dB selectable switch on any condenser microphone. And so you would think that's weird that they went with negative 6 on this, because, like I said, most large diaphragm condensers, even small diaphragm condensers, they offer a negative 10 dB pad. So I'd like to see something comparable to that, but even further, if they have the ability in the software to write it to where you could do a fine selectable dB pad for your input microphone. So let's say I find that I need to be at -15 dB for my pad for my input microphone, and then that allows me to now turn my output up just a little bit more and match them to get a very neutral output level. However, with that being said, that's the only gripes or the only downside, I guess you would say, to this new Rode Go Wireless 2 system that we have here in the studio. Apart from that, it has some very, very nice features. For one, you pull it out of its packaging and it's already synced. It's already ready to go. Both of the transmitters are already synced to the receiver. You plug it directly into your camera and off you go. You're into recording land. It's absolutely awesome. Now, we chose to add the Lavalier Go lavalier mics to the transceivers, and what that looks like is, I have one right here, and I would guess that they're probably the exact same microphone. If you were to pull the windscreen off here, let's see if I can pull this windscreen off. If you were to pull the windscreen off and look, they're very, very similar. I don't know if I get this to zoom in. They're very, very similar. The lavalier mic here in this hand is obviously a lot smaller. So this Omni microphone right here is a little bit bigger. It's about 50% bigger, to be honest with you. But I would imagine that they're both similar technology, roughly the same in terms of their frequency response and whatnot. So you can right out of the bag just use this to record yourself. You can clip this on. You could even put it right here on the desk or just right out of camera view, and this will capture your audio perfectly. The only thing with this, if you happen to see some of our Friday Night Shenanigan videos that we put out, the only thing with that is, for one, if you clip this on just right here, okay, you know, nobody wants to necessarily record like that because then you have this thing flopping around and it just looks weird and cumbersome and awkward. But apart from that is it will move around a lot. So if you are in your chair and you happen to kind of readjust because you're just talking and you're in your element, you'll hear all that. You'll hear all that movement, and sometimes if it brushes up against your neck accidentally or your shirt, it'll muffle the sound. And that can really suck because then in post audio, there's, you know, post production, there's absolutely nothing you can do about that. Your audio is ruined. So, you know, things to think about. That's why we went with the Lavalier Go system that accompanies this, just so you can have it clean and you can have it like a traditional mic'd up person in frame would be. But regardless, it's really cool that it comes with the ability to record without having to purchase anything extra. You could just use the transceiver with the built-in microphone. I really like that feature. It comes with really nice carrying cases for everything. So each transceiver or transmitter has its own nice little carrying case. And then the actual receiver plus all the additional cables comes in this nice carrying case right here. So it is very portable, very easy to go on the go with it. And overall, we are very happy with it. I was initially frustrated with the system until I discovered online that they had put out the Rode Central, and you could go in there and fine-tune the settings of your system and make it tailored to what you need it to be. So if you didn't know about that, go ahead and head over to Rode's website and look up their Rode Central, download that software, and plug in your transceiver, your transmitter, plug in your receivers, and, you know, fine tune them to you. But besides that, go ahead and drop me a comment down below if you have anything else to say about this. If you have anything that you'd like to add, or if you have any questions about this. As always, please like, subscribe, and hit that bell.